17 soldiers that are killed in Delta State today were giving burial in Abuja as the president promises scholarship to their family members and children, and also national honors to them. And the national chairman of the Labour Party, Mr. Julius Abure, has been elected as the national chairman of the party in a convention conducted in Nnewi. Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Akimbaloye in Abuja. Our heart goes out tonight to the slain soldiers who were murdered gruesomely in Okwama community of Delta State. And today, the nation pays their final respect to them as their bodies were committed to Mother Earth. Today, the gallant soldiers were buried and the remains of the commanding officer of the 181 Amphibious Battalion, 2 majors, 1 captain, and 12 personnel of the battalion were interred at the military cemetery in Abuja today. The president was at that event alongside very senior government officials who attended that event. The president, alongside some governors, federal lawmakers, and military top brass, and several dignitaries, including members and children of the slain soldiers, were present paying their last respect. Of course, the president had promised that the slain soldiers will be posthumously given national honors, and their family members and the children left behind, even the unborn, will be given scholarship. And it has also asked that the military process their entitlement within the next 90 days. Let me allow you to take a listen to the Chief of Army Staff.
The Okwama killing has added to the care of the Nigerian Army, and by extension, the Nigerian state. 10 widows, 3 of whom are 4, 5, and 8 months pregnant, 21 orphans, and many other dependents, which include parents. While commiserating with the families of these gallant soldiers, I assure them that the Nigerian Army and the good people of this country will not leave them in the cold.
To the perpetrators of this violence who seek to sow division and fear among our people, take this from me. Our resolve will not wither. We will hunt you down, we will bring you to justice, and will restore peace and security to every nook and cranny of our dear nation. Your evil actions may cause pain and suffering, but they will never extinguish the spirit of unity and resilience that burns within us. Whoever is supporting them, either directly or indirectly, in every way, be rest assured, we will get them, we will smoke them out wherever they are, and those who are offering them any support will face the music.
This is some of the sound bites coming from that event which finished a few minutes ago at the Abuja, the National Cemetery here in Abuja. May the souls of these slain soldiers rest in peace. Before we get into our major conversations tonight, let me allow you get a glimpse of our political roundup stories.
President Bola Tinubu has congratulated Mr. Diomaye Faye on his election as the President of the Republic of Senegal, wishing him success as he takes on the important job of leading the good people of his country. Despite the opposition against him by some members and interest groups in the Nigeria Labour Congress, Mr. Julius Abure has been re-elected as the national chairman of the Labour Party by a unanimous affirmation of delegates. The chairman of the National Convention and Deputy Governor of Abia State, Mr. Akeredolu, declared him the winner during the party's national convention that held today in Nnewi, Anambra State. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Nyesom Wike, has expressed his displeasure over a possible obstruction of work on the Kuje Area Council Road construction project. The obstruction, which is part of electricity infrastructure, is mounted on the area where the road construction is ongoing. However, during an interview after inspecting the project in Kuje, the minister disclosed that the FCT authority is working out a suitable plan with the Transmission Company of Nigeria to ensure the obstruction is removed. The governor of Cross River State, Senator Basio II, has organized a 3-day seminar for businessmen and investors on renewable energy. He said it's a solution-based approach to the dwindling oil revenues. The governor was speaking at the ceremony in Calabar, the state capital. He explained that the aim of the summit is to diversify the economy and create employment opportunities in the state for the teeming youth. He assured investors of adequate collaborations and incentives with various investment packages to ensure that businesses thrive in a conducive environment. The River State chapter of the All Progressives Congress has reacted to a statement credited to a member representing Ideato North-South Federal Constituency of Imo State in the House of Representatives, Honorable Ikenga Ugochinyere, regarding the State House of Assembly overriding Governor Siminalayi Fubara and enacting new laws. Addressing a news conference in Port Harcourt, the chairman of the caretaker committee of the party, Mr. Tony Okocha, asked Mr. Ikenga to leave River State issues and focus on serving the people of his constituency. The national chairman of the All Progressives Congress APC, Abdullahi Ganduje, today inaugurated 6 governors as zonal coordinators of the party. The event held at the party's national secretariat, and the coordinators are to, among other duties, promote harmony, consolidate and strengthen the party towards achieving the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Tinubu. The Yobe State Governor Mai Mala Buni is coordinator for Northeast, Kaduna State Governor Senator Obasani for the Northwest, North Central is Kwara State Governor Abdulrahman Abdulrazak, the Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma is to coordinate Southeast, while the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu will handle the Southwest, and South-South will be coordinated by the Cross River State Governor Senator Basio II. The crisis rocking the PDP in Lagos State appears to have deepened as some party members passed a vote of no confidence on the party's leadership, whom they accused of working against party from within. Mr. Segun Adewale today spoke on behalf of the PDP candidates for the 2023 elections in Lagos State, saying they have resorted to a lawsuit against the party's leadership, including Chief Bode George, for openly supporting other parties' candidates after having collected money from their own candidate. The aggrieved members of the party say the trend has become a recurring decimal and therefore must come to an end if the PDP is to thrive in Lagos State.
Thank you so much, everyone. Our eyes are still on what happened today, where the president, Bola Tinubu, was there to honor the slain soldiers who were killed gruesomely in Okwama community of Delta State. And of course, some of what the president said, including giving scholarship and ensuring that those who perpetrated the evil will be brought to justice. Of course, yesterday we also heard in a similar manner, talking about security of the nation. The president has declared that individuals involved in despicable crimes such as kidnapping must be treated as terrorists. The president made that statement yesterday at a Ramadan dinner with members of the federal judiciary led by the CJN, Justice Olukade Ariwola. Let me allow you to listen to President Bola Tinubu on that.
We are working hard. Yes, the bandits, just please uphold our resolve when we say kidnappers are terrorists and don't rule against us. That's the way we perceive them. That is the way we must treat them. And that is a fact that we are facing currently, unless we take very strong action against these people. They become cowardly, they have been degraded, they look for soft targets, they go to backyard of, local schools, kidnap children and create disaffection. We must treat them equally as terrorists in order to really get rid of them. And I promise you, we're going to get rid of them.
All right, that's President Bola Tinubu. Let's get some insight before we go into some of the national discussions that we have for you on the program. Let's get some insight on what the president said there and what he said today and the event relating to the Okwama incident where those soldiers were gruesomely murdered. I'm being joined by a counter-terrorism expert, Mr. Bulama Bukati, who joins us virtually from London. Thank you so much, Mr. Bukati, for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me, Sean.
Let me get your view on what happened to these soldiers, gruesomely murdered. Now they have been committed to Mother Earth and promises have been made, but then a big lesson, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a big lesson. It was a tragic incident. It was horrible to see that 19 of our soldiers were murdered in that dastardly way. And showing the way they were murdered and knowing our soldiers and how brave they were would convince you that they were not fighting. They didn't go there to fight or to use force against anyone. That was why they were caught off guard and they were killed in that horrible way. It is a condemnable act. It was barbaric and unacceptable, and no Nigerian, no one claiming to be a Nigerian should harm our soldiers. They are our national heroes. They are sacrificing their night and day, their family life and their social lives. They are sacrificing every single thing a human being loves and reveres in order to keep us safe. And no Nigerian, no true Nigerian would like to harm our soldiers. But Sean, I was so happy, and I cannot describe how happy I was to see the president attending their burial. This is something we lacked under President Buhari. He attended very few burials. I can only remember one in Maiduguri. And when that happens, unfortunately, morale will be low. But when our soldiers die at national duty, which is bound to happen, unfortunately, they deserve all the respect. They deserve all the honor in the world. And when President Tinubu went to their burial in person, I was so happy, and I'm sure that is going to raise the morale of our soldiers, because that shows that they are valuable, they are important, and also that shows that they would be respected if something happens to them. Now, but there are two more things the president needs to do in respect of these soldiers. Of course, another important step the president took was this effort to cushion the effect of their loss for their families by giving scholarship, the national honors, and perhaps some economic support to the family, which is also very much welcomed. But the two things the president needs to do in order to prove to Nigeria and the world and to the families of these soldiers that they were important and Nigeria respects them is to bring the culprit to justice, to bring their murderers to justice, and to do that swiftly, to make sure that no stone is left unturned in investigating who killed them, and to investigate those people thoroughly, and to bring them to justice, and to publicize to Nigerians what happened to those who killed our soldiers. The second thing the president needs to do is to equip our soldiers, because we are battling with this crisis because our soldiers have not been equipped enough, and we cannot solely blame this government because it is only 9 months old, and this is a crisis that has been going on for over a decade. But I think President Tinubu does have the opportunity right now to equip our soldiers well in order to ensure that these kinds of incidents do not, their lives are saved, because you have to protect them first. They have to be able to protect themselves before they can protect us and keep us safe.
There are very strong words coming from the Chief of Army Staff and Chief of Defense Staff today. They did say that they will go after those people. They did say, look, it hurts the military. It will down the morale of the military, but then they're resolute in going after those who perpetrate those evil. If you know, and we've seen what has happened and how the military have been attacked in the past, it should give anybody a lesson as to what the military is capable of doing to those communities and people around those kind of areas. We've seen that happen in the past. But if you look at what happened, to how they dismembered these soldiers, which was one of the things that the Chief of Army Staff also raised in a disrespectful manner, an act against humanity that these persons have committed, and they say they are looking for the perpetrators. From your own thinking and your own knowledge, how difficult is it to get? And you know, there are a lot of intricacies. There are those who say there's so much to what has happened in Okwama community beyond what people say is a land dispute. The issues of bunkering, illegal bunkering, and rifts between some people. What do you make of the scenario, and how do you think that the military should handle these kind of things going forward?
Yeah, I mean, the strong words of the Chief of Defense Staff are welcomed, but as you know, action speaks louder than words. And so we do need to see action, and the only way to prove to unscrupulous elements in our community, criminal elements in our society, is to show them that the life of our soldiers does matter, and when they are attacked, we are not going to fold our arms or just say strong words and stop there. In terms of how the Nigerian army should proceed, number one, Shewin, is for the army to, even though we are in a very difficult situation, even in the height of this dastardly act, we do need to ensure that we are strategic in our investigation and bringing the criminals or the culprits to justice. And that means we should not generally profile that community and treat everyone as a criminal, because we know that there are amongst these communities and communities around them people who are true Nigerians that love their country and had nothing to do with the crime. And the best way to stop criminality is to fish out the criminals rather than punishing both criminals and innocents. And so I think the first thing is for us to calm down and to be strategic in whatever investigation or step we want to take. The second is to work with the community. I can tell you, in every Nigerian community, you will find great Nigerians who love their countries. And I am sure there are amongst members of this community we are talking about, people who did not support what happened and will cooperate with the Nigerian army and our intelligence agencies in fishing out the criminals. And the best source of intelligence is human intelligence, is to work with members of those communities, especially their leaders, in fishing out the criminals. And I know the members of the affected community knows that the best way to protect the whole community and to prove that they did not support what happened is to expose the criminals. It is unfathomable for this kind of thing to happen in a community and for the community to claim that we don't know any of the criminals. That is unfathomable. That is that cannot be. It's not sensible. It's not logical. And therefore, the community should work with our security and law enforcement agencies to expose the criminals. And once you start arresting some of them, then you will start to get the others. Of course, we also should leverage technology, because from the way these 16 soldiers were slain, the barbaric way in which they were killed, like you said, there was some form of mobilization that took place. And if we use technology well, we may track some call logs, we may find some text messages or WhatsApp messages, and that can help the investigators in getting to the root of the matter. But human intelligence, working with local community leaders, especially religious and traditional rulers and political leaders at the local level, is very important. I do pray and hope that our soldiers will take this meticulously and will be strategic in their investigation, and they will try not to harm innocent individuals in the affected community.
Give us a sense of what to make of what the president said yesterday when he says, whatever those individuals kidnapping young children from their schools, and kudos to the security agencies, by the way, and their gallantry in rescuing those who have seen. We've seen a lot of rescue operations and those who have been brought back, albeit with no news about any kind of military engagement with the terrorists. Because yesterday on this program I said I forbid myself calling these guys bandits. I would rather prefer to call them terrorists, because these guys, bandits, when we're growing up, are those who go into your farms, cut away your belongings, your farm produce, take away your belongings. Those are bandits. But these ones who take away innocent Nigerians and kill them gruesomely, they shouldn't be referred to as bandits. They should be called terrorists. That is what they are. And the president says that too. He says yesterday, those who are involved in this kidnapping must be treated as terrorists. How does a nation go about that?
Yeah, I mean, Shaun, thank you for reminding us about the rescue or release of the 137 of the students. That's the Kuriga primary and secondary school students that were abducted about 3 weeks ago. I love this particular episode of our conversation, Shaun, because it is one of these rare episodes in which there are silver linings of good stories or good news or good episodes, even in the heart of this tragedy that we are. The president attending the burial was a good thing. Giving scholarship to the affected families and national owners was a good thing, which will boost morale. But also the rescue or release of this 137 is another good news that we must celebrate, even in the heart of this tragedy that we are as a country. But Shaun, let's not forget that the count from the school was that at least 287 students were abducted. And so if you have rescued 137 going by the reports, unless if I am missing something, and correct me if I am missing something, then it means there are a huge number still in captivity. And this celebrating the release of this one should not make us forget those dozens or even more than 100 students that are still in captivity. Now, I mean, that's around 160 students that are still in captivity. We as a country must make it clear to bandit terrorists that no single student of Nigeria, no single citizen of Nigeria is a fair game. And if they abducted a single person amongst us, we will go to the last, we will use the last atom of our energy in order to ensure that they are rescued, and we are not going to give them money or any concession in getting our students or our people back. Now, that's a message we have to send the kidnappers.
Although, Mr. Bukati, the governor of Kaduna State said on this program that some of the figures that are being reported are sometimes not correct, and from what he said, he told us that those are the figures of those students. I don't know what to make of that.
Okay, yeah, I missed that. As you know, I have been traveling. I came back home today from East and Central Africa. As you know, Shaun, you and I have been talking on my trip. But I know that one of the teachers reported to the governor on his first visit to the school, and I had the voice on BBC Hausa, and the governor did not dispute the figure at the time, and I missed his interview disputing the figure. And Shaun, what is leading to these kinds of inflation of figures or uncertainty about figures is that whenever these kinds of incidents happen, government officials hardly bring out facts or publish facts and figures about the incidents. Remember that we have had about 10 different school kidnappings, 9 of them under President Buhari, 1 of them under President Jonathan, the Chibok school girls. In spite of all the publicity the Chibok girls received, nobody can tell you even today the exact figure of the children that were abducted. And that suggests to me that we don't even know the population of our schools. Because if you know the population of your school, the population of students in your school, and there is an attack, you just need to count those who are present, and then you can give interim figures. And if others are discovered later, you can easily then update the figures and give the exact figure. But governments throughout the states have always woefully failed to give us figures when there are incidents like this. And that is why almost in each case, we go by estimates, except in the case of Dapchi, where we know it was 110 girls that were abducted. Now, that's why perhaps the figures were different from what the governor later said. And if everyone has been rescued, then we are so happy. But unfortunately, Shaun, there are another 200 IDPs that were abducted a day before this incident in Borno State. And because they are not students, because they are not related to governments, because they are not they were not abducted from Abuja or one of our big cities, because they are not rich or VIPs. Nobody is talking about them anymore. Over 200 girls and women were abducted in Borno State a day before this incident, and no news about them till today. Now, they are also Nigerians. They have to be rescued. They have to be reunited with their families. Now, when it comes to your question, I mean, your point around bandits as terrorists, I completely agree with you. And let's remember that President Buhari, under his government, they were declared terrorists by the Federal High Court. After an order by the Federal High Court, the Attorney General of the Federation at the time declared them as terrorists. What we did not see under Buhari's government was treating them as terrorists. Just declaring them as terrorists is not enough. You have to then go ahead and use all your resources as a country to treat them as terrorists, to use all your power to ensure that you deal with the terrorists because they are terrorists. But Sean, I call them bandit terrorists because we do need to differentiate, because there are several terrorist groups right now in Nigeria. You have the Boko Haram terrorists, now you have bandit terrorists, you have other terrorists. If you don't specify, then it would be difficult for people to understand what set of groups are responsible. And we know that Boko Haram terrorists, for example, are different from bandit terrorists in terms of their motivations and their mode of operation and where they mostly operate. That is their base of operation. And so I think it is important for us to call them the terrorists they are, but qualify it with bandit terrorists so that we know what terrorists we are talking about. And I think the Tinubu administration, like the president has said, now has to start treating them in reality, in practice, in our kinetic and non-kinetic efforts to start treating them as the terrorists that they are, so that the declaration will not just be mere words on an empty and on a worthless sheet of paper.
How I like us to anchor on this particular matter is those that are involved, especially the Kuriga. Are there arrests made? How were they rescued? What are the procedures of rescue and all whatever? Who are those behind it? Have they been arrested? We understand that they were arrested in Zamfara and in some other parts of the country. There were also some rescue in Sokoto and the rest, but we have not really heard about those who perpetrated, whether they were killed, whether they were arrested, and all whatever. What do you think is going on quickly so that we can anchor on this?
Yeah, I mean, Sean, I do agree with you. I have been investigating the circumstances of the release and whether anyone was arrested and what were the terms of the release, if they were released, or how were they rescued if they were rescued. But I did not find any information to that effect. And Sean, as Nigerians, we have a right to know. We have a right to know how our government is proceeding with securing us, how our government is using our resources, and how our government is dealing with criminal elements or terrorist elements amongst us. We have a right to know by law, but we also have a right to know as Nigerians so that we may have confidence in our country, and our government does owe us transparency. If you are not transparent, if you do not explain to Nigerians circumstances of things they need to know, then rumors would continue to spread. And the more rumors spread, the less clear things would be, and that will only work in favor of our enemies. I know the government says, and I agree, that some security matters are sensitive, they should not be revealed, but explaining to Nigerians the basic information about how these our brothers and sisters were rescued, and whether the criminals have been arrested or not, or what the government is doing in order to arrest and prosecute them is important. We have a right to know, and I do ask the government to come clear with that information, to be transparent with us, not just in that, but also in the case of the soldiers that were slain and other security incidents across the country. Sean, before we close, let's remember that there are many police officers that are also being killed at duty. There are other paramilitary officers that are killed almost every single day in Nigeria, and they also deserve the honor and respect President Tinubu gave these slain soldiers. And I would love to see better treatment of our security and law enforcement agencies so that they know that our country loves and respects them, so that their morale will be high, so that they will be ready to sacrifice everything they can sacrifice to keep us safe.
Bulama Bukati is an extreme violence and terrorism expert who lives outside, out of London. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight and your expertise that you have put into the perspectives. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shaun. Excellent program as always. Thank you.
So much. I appreciate it.
We love you. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. We'll take a break, everyone. And when we return, our attention will be on the national minimum wage. We are hearing some figures. It does look like Labour is making its proposition. We'll find out tonight how much really should be the national minimum wage. The president of the Trade Union Congress, Festus Osifo, will be talking to us and giving us insight on what they've been thinking. Today, in Inewi, Anambra State, where Mr. Julius Abure has now emerged as the party's national chairman amidst all of the challenges and the tussle and the internal wranglings of the party. The NLC, led by Mr. Joe Ajaero, have proven a strong opposition to Mr. Julius Abure's leadership and the manner in which the party has been run under him, and been picketing some of the offices of the Labour Party. A matter has resulted into some exchanges and verbal brickbat. But of course, you know, our attention this time around is on the national minimum wage. There's been a back and forth between Labour and the federal government. There is a committee on the national minimum wage. The vice president is spearheading that, and on one hand, the leadership of the Nigerian organized labor on their own. So there are consultations already being made, and there are figures that are being bandied around. But out of some of the consultation, the Trade Union Congress, as an arm of the organized labor, have emerged from their meetings and making some propositions, which eventually we understand there will be an alignment with the NLC, and they will bring forth a proposition of a figure for the national minimum wage, which will now go into the consultation with the Committee on the National Minimum Wage to be ratified. Then it might be gazetted and passed into law. I'm being joined by the president of the Trade Union Congress, Comrade Festus Osifo. He joins us live here in our Abuja studio. Thank you so much indeed, Comrade.
Thank you so much, Shaun. Good evening to you, and good evening to the Rotimi Nigerians that have.
I know there is a connection between the organized labor and the Labour Party. Yeah. Maybe TUC has not been so deeply involved in the leadership problems that have been involved, but NLC have been deeply involved. And I know that TUC is a stakeholder in the Labour Party affair. But what do you make of the emergence of Mr. Julius Abure as the national chairman of the party?
Yes, first, Shaun, before we go into that, I wish to, because I was listening to you when we were discussing about the slain officers and soldiers. I became a bit emotional, you know, watching the program over again and listening to Bulama Bukati. I wish to join the teeming Nigerians, millions of Nigerians, to commiserate with the commander-in-chief of the Nigerian forces, as well as the Nigerian military, for the dastardly act that took place in that community somewhere in the south in Nigeria, the Okoma community. For us, you know, in labor movement, we always say that injury to one, it's injury to all. So slaying soldiers in that way that it happened for us is condemnable, and we wish to join our voice in asking the military and all law enforcement agencies to bring the perpetrators to book. Having said that, Shaun, yeah, on the issue of Labour Party, yeah, for us in Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, we decided to stay away. We stood away because there are a lot of things. There are a lot of uncertainties and a lot of things that weren't that clear. Because, Shaun, I wouldn't want to dabble clearly into the imbroglio between the NLC and the Labour Party. But just to state this, Shaun, if today I register a party, let's assume I bring 5 of my friends together and we register a party, then I have that certificate of a party under in my wardrobe. That party is going to have a constitution, and the constitution of that party is going to be filed with the Independent National Electoral Commission. once we fire the constitution of that party, what that means is that the party will take the life of its own. Yes, there are institutional representation, both at the National Working Council, the NEC, as well as the Board of Trustees. There are institutional representations of NLC and TUC over there. But overall, Shehu, once you form that party, then it is my responsibility to go and mobilize members across the wards and of the federation into that party. If I don't do it, and somebody else now goes around to do the mobilization of members into the party, politics starts from the ward. Politics start from the basis. So when I will mobilize people, when somebody else will not mobilize people into that party, we will not go for a convention. And at the end of the day, I've registered the party, but what have I done to ensure this party is viable? And other people now come in the process and mobilize people into the party from the wards to the local government to the state and to the federal and to the federation, to the federal. And they will now go into a convention. How will I win such convention? So again, for us, we think that the labor movement has to do much more rather than, sound bites here and there. We need to do much more if we think that our Labour Party belongs to us. What have we done? How many members have we mobilized into Labour Party in the last 1, 2, 3, 4 years? Those should be the cross. Because if we don't mobilize people into that party, if we don't register 1, 2, 3, 4 million of our members into that party, then some other people are doing it. It is difficult for us to consistently say that the certificate of registration of a party lies under our bed. So my encouragement is that Labour Party as it stands today, yes, it was registered by NLC as claimed. The certificate is there, but it was human being in NLC that subscribed to it. Those that registered the party today in NLC, where are they? The lives of Adams Oshomole, the lives of Shola Iji, and a whole lot of them. Where are they today? Are they still members of this party? So I think that all stakeholders need to sit down together and harmonize on the way forward. As Abure has emerged today, I just want to appeal to him that he should be magnanimous in victory by calling all the stakeholders together for everybody to sit down and itemize and determine the way forward regarding the party.
Let's go into this very important matter. I would want Labour Party matter to distract us. National minimum wage is a very crucial matter. And we, from what I see, it does look like the Trade Union Congress have decided and have made its own proposition and its stance. And I've seen that from 30,000 naira, you have gone way over almost 500,000. You've done 447,000 naira. That is what the Trade Union Congress is proposing. How do you come about that figure?
Yes, Shehu, thank you so much for leaving the Labour Party thing and coming into a much more comfort zone for us. If you remember very well, Shehu, I knew you did economics in secondary school. There is this popular book called A.O. Lawal. So A.O. Lawal then, in defining what money is, he said money is a store of value. So what that means is that what you are being paid, or rather, the money that you owe today reflects a value in it. You will agree with me, Shehu, that when the minimum wage of 18,000 naira was passed by the Goodluck administration as at then, you would realize that 18,000 naira, if you see the analysis that we did, was somewhere around $130, $140. Why are we using? We can literally use anything to measure the value of the money as at then. We could use dollars. We could use how much bag of rice could that money buy. We could use how many tubers of yam and tomatoes could that money buy. So when we did the analysis, we now realized that as at then, what that money came to then was about 125 or thereabout USD. Then when the last minimum wage act was signed into law in 2019, what we had then was 30,000 naira. And that 30,000 naira as at then, the conversion rate then was about 325 naira to $1. That gave us somewhere around $95. So today, if you look at the state of the economy, if you look at the purchasing power parity, if you look at the consumer price index, you will realize that the value of our money has completely eroded. When the 18,000 naira was passed, a bag of fries at then was around 7,000 naira. What that means is that the 18,000 naira could buy you close to 3 bags of rice. But today, Shehu, a bag of rice is going for almost 90,000 naira. That means what the 18,000 naira could have bought then, you need 90,000 to buy 3 bags of rice that 18,000 naira could have bought then. You now need to have 90,000 naira times 3. That is only about 270,000 naira. But families will not live on bag of rice alone. So what we did, how we came to that was this. So as part of a tripartite committee, there was a zonal hearing. So there was a zonal hearing, a public hearing across the 6 geopolitical zones from the northeast, northwest, north central, southeast, south, and southwest. So in this hearing, so TUC came up with what we think would be a living wage. But although, when you are going to negotiation, you don't go with your rock bottom. Because by the time you go with your rock bottom, you must move. So
this is your possibly
our demand.
Your demand.
This is our charter of demand.
You have you listed several issues that brought you to that figure.
Correct.
Continuous increase in electricity tariff, need to pay a living wage, inflation, removal of subsidy, and an increase in the prices of petroleum, the FX, all of these issues. But if you look at the screen right now, this is a screen grab of some of the indices. What you have now said is an estimated monthly expenditure per household comprising father, mother, and 4 children. So if you look at it, so you said utility. Can you quickly explain how you got to 447,000 naira? So you're saying an average Nigerian worker, the minimum wage for should be $298.
Yes, correct. Okay. As when we did this, the dollar was about 1,500, 1,600, but today it has moved down to about 1,300. But quickly, if you look at it, so we put rent there. A family, let's assume they are staying in a room and a parlor. That's a least that they could afford. It's going to be about 20,000 naira per month. Then you look at what is the cost of power. Today, to even get a power of 20,000 naira is difficult, most especially if you are doing the either the prepaid or the postpaid bills. Then water, about 5,000 naira. Then kerosene or gas, about 20,000 naira per month. Then if you look at a meal, so we said that a meal of 1 meal will be about 400 naira. And you know that to even get a meal of 400 naira today is difficult. But conservatively,
you might buy rice and beans without meat.
Without meat, exactly. Exactly. So the meal is about 400 naira per person, 3 square meal a day. By the time you do that calculation, it's going to come up to 216,000 naira per month. So that is where you have a chunk of the money. Because today, you know what is happening to food inflation. Then when you look at the medicals, you have to go to hospital. So even if you are doing the health insurance scheme, about 30,000 naira per month, because government...
malaria being the most common, one of the most common...
Absolutely.
How much does it take to buy a sachet of malaria dose? I mean, that's another... Divided by 6 people,
yes,
30,000.
That be about 500 naira per person. You are talking about malaria now. What if you have the child has eye problem? What if the child is having cholera? Then the money could even be much more than that. Then if you come down, you look at education, you're going to send your child to school. Maybe you have one child in the university. Then if he's going to school at the end of the month, you are going to pay some money. But again, even that 40,000 naira for a child in university, imagine a father and a mother having 2 kids in the university. 40,000 naira per month will not even be able to take care of them. But conservatively, we put it at that. Then sanitations are another about 10,000. Then transportation, 3,000 naira per day. Shehu, you know very well, here in Abuja, if you are commuting from Lugbe or from Yanyan to the central area to go to work and you go back, you're going to spend not less than 1,500 naira per day. So by the time to and fro, 1,500 naira one way. To and fro is going to give you 3,000 naira. So when we summed all that together, we came up with about 447,000 naira as our demand.
This is
this was publicized across the 6 geopolitical zones on March 7th.
So, if it was if leaders in this country have really done what needs to be done, there are items on this list that should not even be there, that no one should even be bothered about. Take, for example, medicals at a basic level should be free. Education, public education should be free.
True.
I think a whole lot of stuff there should be free. In fact, food and some other subsidies on things that people can, people of low income strata in the society should get. But here we are today, and hoping that the Tinubu government, who says that they want to give loans to students who are indigent, might be able to come true. And some of these also welfare package that the government is looking might be able to help. But you wanted to make a comparison across the country.
Yes.
Something that might be also the indices that gave rise to this figure. Give us an understanding of what you came out about.
Yes. So now, if you check what we have there, we have about 298 USD. I mean, as when we did this calculation, the exchange rate was about 1,500, 1,600. But when you compare this across board, Sheon, you are going to see that today, the minimum wage that we have in a place like Libya, the minimum wage in a place like Morocco, they are much more than $300. They are much more than $300. If you look at Libya, Libya is $325 per month. If you look at Morocco, it's $315 per month. Even look at a country like Gabon, that literally don't have anything much compared to what we have in Nigeria here. Their minimum wage is $256. Look at South Africa, Mauritius, and so you could see that what we are asking fell within this boundary. But look at the minimum wage in Nigeria as of today, $20. This is completely unacceptable. This is something that the government must think about. Just what you have said. In this country, Shehu, if you go to Libya, where they are paying a minimum wage of $325, they have good healthcare system. If you go to Libya, they have good water system. If you go to Libya, in fact, literally education is free for Libyans. So for these countries that are paying this level of minimum wage, don't even talk about Seychelles, that is close to $500 per month. For these countries that are paying this level of minimum wage, you could see that the quality of life in those countries are much more better. From what you have said, during the elections, government every day, they tell us a lot of things they want to do, that they want to bring prosperity to the people. Government tells us that they want to make life better for the people, how they are going to generate wealth, how they are going to generate income. But immediately they win elections and they are sworn in, they will start lamenting. But all we told them, like in the meetings we have today, we kept telling them that lamentation is not the way to go. You are voted to create wealth. You are voted to generate wealth. It is not that you are voted in, you fold your arm, and you'll be waiting for federal allocations to be shared. For us, that is not the way to go.
So, let's bring this conversation home now. I'm worried because whoever is watching us now and works for a state government, or local government, they will imagine, this is not for you. This is for those who work for the federal government. It's a national minimum wage. And the state government, some state governments in Nigeria have not even been able to fulfill the 30,000 minimum wage. Some of them are in breach of that code.
So, Shehu, if you see...
That's a big fear. That if it's now jacked up, and this is how many percentage. If it's your figure now is 447,000 naira, is how much percentage on 30,000?
Shehu, first of all, like I have said, this is a demand that we have put forward. Yeah. But beyond that as well, Shehu, look at even the state. As at April, what was shared as federal allocation was somewhere around 400 billion. But you could remember that the last month, what was shared was close to 2 trillion. So what that means is that what is the portion of money that is accruable to state has grown up astronomically. And majority of that money is attributable to the exchange rate. The naira portion is growing, but the dollar version is not growing. So if, for example, if the monies that are accruable to state from the federation account is about ×4 or ×5 today, you will realize that most of the state governors, they should be able to do much more. A particular state that I know, the wage bill before now, the allocation to that state was about 2.5 billion naira per month. But in the last FAC allocation, it was about 10 billion that they shared. What that means is that that particular the allocation to that state has moved from by ×4. So it has moved by ×4. So all we are asking is that these state governors, they must be responsive. Beyond the money they share in Abuja, Nigeria, we are blessed countries. These governors, they must be up and doing. These governors, they must put in their thinking cap. They told us these lovely stories during their electionary campaign.
That is, the pressure seems to be on the federal government. And by the way, we are hearing some news as how the dollar is crashing on the street of Area 1, Wuse, and the rest. And that's good news anyway.
Very well.
And kudos to Cardoso, the president, and their team. That's the kind of news we want to hear. We want to see the dollar crash more in value to the naira. That's some good news. But the question is that the pressure is more to the center. These states, the federating units need to get a hit so that people living in the state can get the benefit of living in a country that works.
So we are designing as part. I'll quickly make reference to the dollar before. So we are designing a system as part of the minimum wage negotiation on sanctioning that when a new minimum wage is passed, there must be sanctions to state government that are not being responsive. Maybe there are FAC allocation. Maybe the federal government can pay some money directly to the workers instead of giving it to the state. Shehu, you remember very well that sometime in February, as in Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, we came up with 15 points demand. And the number one in that demand was about how government could crash the naira. And we are happy that all the conversations that we have had behind the scene, they made some certain promises and they are living up to it. We will continuously hold them accountable. We'll continuously push them to ensure that the price of dollar go beyond, or rather below, much more below 1,000 naira. Because the fair value of naira is somewhere around 600 to 700 at a maximum. And we want government to get to that level because that is what is solely responsible for the high cost of goods that we have today. That is what is responsible for the customs, for importers not to be able to clear their goods from wharf. That is what is responsible for those that have imported farm machineries not to be able to clear their farm machinery because the exchange rate is quite prohibitive. So this is the right step in the right direction, and we urge government to move swiftly on that.
This is how I would like us to anchor. I mean, there's been a lot of pressure on the naira. Inflation, headline inflation on the rise, food inflation on the rise, but we're seeing some movement. And I'm very sure that we live in the same city, so you probably will have seen some, and some of what I said about the fact that a few days ago, the dollar sold to the naira at 1,400 at the parallel market on the street of Abuja. Today, we are hearing that there is panic, and some are even selling at 900. That is it. So we wonder, what is your own observation about the economy in the last few days, especially the CBN, the bottom line for an average citizen? What have you seen as a Labour leader?
Yes, for us, for the MPC, the tightening of the monetary policy rate that happened, that moved by 200 basis points from 22.75 to 24.75. For us, there is a misfeeling depending on whom you are talking with, because it could squeeze liquidity and it could also increase the borrowing cost. And that at the end is going to be passed to the consumer. But overall, Shehu, what is happening today in the FS space is quite good because it will have overriding effect on the consumer. Today, Shehu, if the FS rate is crashed to about 600 to 700 naira, the cost of the cameras you are buying in this studio will come down. The cost of the televisions that are here are going to come down. The cost of your laptop and your iPad, they are going to come down. So that is actually our focus, and that is our push.
Festus Osifo is the president of TUC also. He's the leader of Pengastan also. He wears two hats, although he doesn't really wear it because he comes with a natural hat. That is hair. Thank you so much, Festus Osifo, for joining us tonight and giving us perspective. You see how this goes in the coming week. There will be an alignment with NLC, then later on the Tripartite Committee. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I'm Sean Kimaloe. Bye for now.